So the afternoon is an afternoon of practice. This sometimes looks like practice on the chair, on the cushion, or whatever. But the real practice is life itself, okay? So I just want to emphasize that eyes open, eyes closed, when we're in conversation, we're not in conversation. The moments are unfolding. The timeless moments are basically here. Can we live inside them in ways that make sense to us? So, because so many of you have been meditating, and so many of you for so long, at least by the calendar, one of the things that I think would make sense at this point is to get those microphones circulating, and we will have a conversation about what your experience was right now. You can also frame it within... How many of you were at the conference for the past 3 days? Okay, well that's like 70 or 80% of you, and you were crazy enough to stay for this day. I just want to point that out to you. I mean, that's non-trivial. It's a non-trivial commitment to something. So one of the things that I'm interested in terms of framing our conversation or our inquiry together, our dialoguing together, is your motivation. What the impulse was to come today when you could have very easily said, I've had it, I'm burned out, I've heard enough mindfulness, I need to go to the movies. And you didn't. You came here. I'm interested in that. And not because I'm sitting up here on this cushion. I'm interested in what motivates us to align with what's deepest and best in ourselves, even though, and I think we can all recognize it, this is non-trivial work. This is the hardest work in the world, framed in a certain way. And on the other hand, it's not work at all. It's play, it's love, it's effortless, but it's kind of a funny kind of tuning of the instrument, and this is a classical image, where too tight, the string is too tight, you don't get a good sound, the string is too loose, you don't get a good sound. So it's a kind of continual sort of tuning of the field of wakefulness. And it's got to be the hardest work in the world for us human beings to even string 2 moments of mindfulness together. Would you agree? I mean, it's non-trivial, right? And yet, look how many people are here for an extra day. And not just that, you could have all left after Katie. I mean, God, wasn't that enough? You want more? So this is really important to sort of not think about, but to recognize the love affair inside yourself and how the coordinate system is actually already available to all of us. It's not like we're incomplete and we need to complete ourselves, although, of course, we'll have those narratives up the wazoo, right? But what if you're already whole? What if there's no improving on you? What if you're absolutely complete, and the only thing that will happen from here on is that you'll be older? And there's a whole storyline that will go along with that. But what if, for now, it's just like this? Just like this. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've seen just countless demonstrations of it just this morning in that laboratory of how easily the mental frame will actually generate a prison that alienates us from the world in very, very strong ways, that will actually predetermine what we will and will not do and wind up creating infinitely more suffering than necessary, and in blaming, of course, everybody but ourselves. So where are those microphone runners? And I don't want to just keep the microphone where it's convenient for the runners, so I don't know exactly how this will work, but I would really like you to be able to voice what's on your mind or in your heart for now, and we'll just go back and forth. And I have to tell you, when I'm controlling the space, which I really like to do, I'd be sitting here. Okay, but they say that if I sit here, then in terms of the filming and the web thing and everything, that I'll look like in darkness or whatever. But I like to be as close as possible. Hi, Mark. So good to see you. And so good to see so many old friends and new friends and new faces, and to actually feel the embodied intentionality of enough of a dose of wisdom to know that it might be worth practicing non-doing together with 700 or 800 other people, or how many other people in this room, practicing non-doing, non-getting anywhere, non-striving, for once. So who's got a mic? Talk. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
You asked why we came back today.
Yeah, hold the microphone a little closer.
You asked why we came back today, and for me, it's curiosity.
No, I didn't ask. I just observed that you did, but it's fine if you want to say it.
I'm sorry. I thought that was what the question was.
There was no question.
I'm here because I'm curious.
Uh-huh. Can you say a little more? Curious about my profile, or why I'm coughing, or, what are you curious about?
It's a good question. If I knew that, I probably wouldn't need to be curious.
Okay, and who is curious? I'm not saying you should answer that, but I think that it might be interesting for you to even ask, what is this curiosity? How is it emerging? What is the feeling tone of it, even in the body? Because you're making, sort of major decisions. Like, none of us have time to waste. So when you're curious and you opt, or you choose, you opt in to something that if a lot of people walked in from, the tourists that are walking around this building, they came in here and they saw what we were doing, they think they were in a lunatic asylum. Seriously. And they would say, however many people in the room, doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. We're doing the hardest work in the world. We're practicing non-doing. Big difference between non-doing and doing nothing. A lot of the people who are meditators, they're extremely accomplished people. Get a lot done. It's not like, just like slackers. But from the outside, it looks like, just a bunch of loafers. So, anything else coming up for you?
Well, you said two things that strike me. One, you said that maybe we've had too much of this wisdom stuff, and I actually heard that comment several times yesterday and even this morning. I thought it's very interesting to hear that. Wow, I've had so much wisdom. And I don't know why that would come up, but I remember I was just sitting with that. Wow, that's interesting that would come up. I've had 3 days of this wisdom.
Well, I was joking.
Oh, I know you were joking. I thought you were joking, but I actually heard that.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's serious or not, but it's just kind of, I'm sitting with that.
It's so serious that it's too serious to take too seriously. Seriously. I mean, it's that serious. And I think we would all agree. I mean, again, it's like, look around you. I mean, these are real people with real things to do. I mean, does anybody not have anything to do? You just came because you ran out of your to-do list? I don't think that happens nowadays. The very fact, I hope you've all shut off your devices, let me just say, because you could be here pretending to be here, but just checking or your whatever accounts you. Don't do that for the rest of this time. I should have said it at the very beginning, but I was too busy coughing.
Actually, that's why I'm here, because it's the best excuse I can think of to get rid of my to-do list.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, and so this is number one on your to-be list.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't need a number two.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.